Hey family, so I've been a pescatarian, I've been a part-time vegetarian, I've even been a part-time vegan. Well, I fell off the wagon a long time ago and I do eat meat. Haven't gone back to pork yet, if ever, but meat? This one here, this is for my carnivores out there. Let's go. Hi, my name is T. I am not a chef. Actually, I'm a truck driver. And I don't drive food trucks, I drive a semi. What I'm about to do is show you how to do what I do on my truck. Welcome to your favorite new food show, Big Taste in a Small Space with me, T. Okay family, this is my favorite steak. This is an 1.5 to 2-inch thick New York strip from your DeKalb County's farmer's market. And what I want to do is get all the outside liquid off as much as I can before we start cooking it. And since we're doing meat and potatoes today, let's get our potatoes prepped and ready. We're gonna quarter them. These are small fingerling potatoes, but we're gonna quarter them because we're gonna put them in the pan with the steak. We're putting them in the pan first. So like I said, you cut them up. If they're small potatoes, just cut them in half. But if they're decent size, cut them in quarters. Get you a little bit of olive oil, little garlic oil, you know, some basic salt, some black pepper, and for this I even used a little bit of turmeric. Turmeric is that yellow seasoning that you see that actually makes curry yellow. Mix this up really good. You want everything coated because this is going to be a flavor bomb like you wouldn't believe. Now your skillet is getting heated up. You put your potatoes in. Ah, yes indeed. Now let's turn our attention back to our steak. Should have got most of that moisture off the outside. The pan's at 325. We're just gonna do a little salt, a little pepper. This ain't gonna do a whole lot to this thing because we want its flavor to come out. That's a little crushed red pepper, little chipotle pepper, little garlic oil. That's it. Flip it over. Do the same thing on the other side. Then you want to make sure you get all that flavor on every inch of that steak. Top, bottom, front, back, inside, outside. Oh, this is going to be wonderful. And you see what I did? I put it in the pan on that fat side, that little fat cap. I'm going to sit it there and let it render off its fat for a good minute. You want to make sure that fat starts melting before you put it on the flesh of that meat, of that steak. Like I said, this is going to be a good one. I babied this thing like you wouldn't believe. And now, just because the heat is on a medium high, make sure you still tend to those potatoes. You don't want to burn them. And as you see, I repositioned my meat, but I'm still on that fat cap. We're not even thinking about putting it down on that flesh yet. We still want to render that meat and get some hash marks on that fat too. And although I did film all of this cooking time, I figured I'd speed it up a little bit, cut out certain parts where it's just sitting there so that you can see this whole process. Lay that meat down. Now we're starting to cook that flesh. Yes. And once I did lay that meat down, I gave it about 7 minutes before I turned it at a 45-degree angle and always checking and stirring my potatoes. You do not want to mess up those beautiful potatoes. And after turning it to get those hashtag marks on there, it's time to flip it over. Yeah, you can see those marks beautifully now. And you put a little thyme and 2 pads of butter on top of that and let it go a little bit longer. Like I said, about 7 minutes before you turn it sideways. And all the time, stirring those potatoes. They gotta cook through and through. Now you saw me just touch it and kind of do the poke test. I'm just trying to make sure it's not getting tough. If you feel it's getting a little tough, turn your temperature down just a little bit. And now as you see me move my potatoes, I move them over to where the meat was. One reason so I can turn the meat sideways, and 2 so I can get a little space so I can start marinating and basting this meat with the juice and the butter. Oh, I could eat this all over again. And as I stir my potatoes up and baste my meat a little bit more, I turn it on the side before I take it off the fire. That's the part that never really got to the heat. Now I'm gonna put my little non-stick skillet down, and I got a treat for that too. A little bit of olive oil, a little bit of garlic oil, and I shredded some cabbage, carrots, and parsnips. Put that in there, and it's still at, my heat's still about 300. Take my meat out the pan and let it rest for a good 10 minutes or so. Left the potatoes in there just so they can soak up that buttery goodness, that meat flavor, get some more flavor on it. And make sure you toss up your vegetables. You don't want to burn those either. That cabbage was shredded really thin. Those carrots are really thin. I add some of that black smoked salt that I like. Some black pepper. That's it. Just let it cook gently. We're just gonna soften it up. We ain't gonna pulverize or make this into any kind of mush. At this point, the vegetables should be really done. So I took them off the heat, put the potatoes back on the heat, really not to get them hot or cook them more, just to keep them warm. At this point, we're pretty much done. The steak has rested, the potatoes are nice and warm, my vegetables are cooked. I made a little quick salad. I made a little bit of sauce with some chutney, some sweet soy. I'm gonna set this up restaurant style. I cut up my steak and laid it out on the plate together. I didn't do the recipe because I wasn't sure of the flavors just yet. That juice from the steak, you can't waste that. That sucker is beautiful. Then you add your potatoes in there. Get up in there, boys. Make some room for your veggies. After that, a little more of that sauce on top. And now, ladies and gentlemen, today I have prepared for you New York strip, fingerling potatoes with buttery taste and some turmeric, mixed vegetables featuring shredded cabbage, carrots, and little parsnips, and a salad. Bon appetit. And don't worry, vegans and vegetarians and pescatarians, I'll get back to you. But for tonight, this is meat lovers' night.